Welcome to your yoga practice. Find a steady, easy seat, whatever that is for you, Virasana, Swastikasana, or Sukhasana, or go for half lotus, Padma, Ardha Padmasana. So thinking today about one of the mistaken selves. I feel that there are two. One is in relationship to the fluctuations of consciousness, and the other has to do with the causes of suffering. And today I'm going to talk about the fluctuations of consciousness. So very early on in the Yoga Sutras, in the first 3 or 4 sutras, we are told yoga is to still the fluctuations of consciousness. And the 5 fluctuations of consciousness are sleep, memory, imagination or conceptualization, misperception, also called misapprehension, as in not getting it, not catching it, as my mother-in-law would say. People just aren't catching on. And then there's right perception, correct perception. And that's what we have when things are still. So the more still the fluctuations are, the more likely we will have an accurate perception of reality. And the more that consciousness is stilled, the better our sleep will be, the more accurate our memories will be. When the fluctuations of consciousness are frenetic or out of control, then we really don't remember things accurately, or we don't remember them at all. That can happen as well. And then we have a lot of misapprehension, not catching on. And imagination could be benevolent or malevolent, again, depending on the extent to which the fluctuations of consciousness are regulated. So if we're unable to still down all that movement in the mind, all that mental activity, the monkey mind, then the imagination is likely to go in the direction of unhealthy fantasies and thoughts that are unreal. And then when those unrealistic expectations are not met, or the fantasy that we created does not come into reality, we catastrophize. So, and that's part of that cycle of these 5 fluctuations of consciousness. And then, of course, it's going to be harder to sleep, or if we're depressed, we might sleep a lot in order to avoid reality. So we can see right away the wisdom of this ancient tradition in the first few lines of the Yoga Sutras, explaining these 5 basic cognitive activities, and how important it is to have a calm mind so that these cognitions can be in our service rather than us thinking we are them. So that's where the mistaken self arises, when we conform to or identify with these fluctuations of consciousness. That's part of the problem as well. So the more we can still them, the more we can observe them, the less we'll wrap ourselves up in them and think that we are them. We want to locate ourselves in the true self and not in the mistaken self. So that's what I would call mistaken self 1. The mistaken self identifying with these fluctuations of consciousness rather than recognizing them for what they are, calming them down, and using them skillfully and wisely. that we run the mind rather than the mind running us.